Welcome home, all. You know what time it is. It is Friday. That means it is cheap date night, and we definitely have a tag that track for you. Friday night going off into the weekend. So cheap date night, and we're going to be even cheaper than normal. And how do you do that? Cheaper than free. Well, this is how you could be cheaper than free. Not just one person free, two persons free. We have three good-looking gents for you tonight, entirely free. That's how you get cheaper than cheap date night. Three gentlemen all giving up their Friday nights so we could dialogue, converse, and have a good discussion on a Friday night for you guys on cheap date night, SuperMex Nation. So we're going to begin. I keep saying that begin because we keep getting derailed by other things that go on, but we're going to begin wrapping up our series on the Dream Utopian High School and get a little bit of sidebars all over the place, and that's a good thing entirely. But we're going to get an update and hopefully a final confirmation on the ongoing year-long process of the Central Unified School District teachers in Fresno, California, Central Valley, West Coast, finally getting a contract after over a year of negotiations. And we're gonna put that out for you guys so it's a little informative. And then we're going to get into the meat and potatoes of our Dream Utopian High School. And we're going to kind of compare and contrast some good things and some bad things. Don't take anything personally, ladies and gentlemen, or maybe your school's doing this and maybe it's good for you. But we're pointing out the things that we need to correct, because the truth is it's easy to get on air, get shares and likes and loves because you talk about all the cool things that go on in a system or a situation. Things don't get better and they don't get really good unless you have the strength of character necessary to sit down and dissect the bad and remove those surgically as if you had a scalpel from the whole. You got to get rid of those not good things so that you can move forward in a positive fashion. So without any further ado, and definitely not gilding the lily, let's see, get the chuckle.
Without any
I got my crime partners with me. To my left, Swainbo, Education Rambo. So you do know how it's spelled, right? It's capital S, W-A-I-N, Swain,
right.
Capital B,
Right.
and then an O, Swainbo. Swainbo, right at you. You like that? Swainbo. And then my crime partner, the ultimate crime partner, my lifelong crime partner, 23-year crime partner, Richard Martinez the third. Son, back home on leave. Call it leave, huh? Call it leave. And you'll be back at school in about a week. And we're going to tap Richard's expertise tonight because he was at a high school that does kind of well in our area, a really good high school. And he's at a college now that does kind of well. Kind of. A little bit. So he's been the beneficiary, lucky dog, of two really good situations when it comes to high school and college. Without any hyperbolization, you could make the case that he has been extremely fortunate and beneficial in terms of the high school and college that he's at. They are amongst, if not the best in the country, both high school and college. So we're going to put all that in the mix, in the SuperMex mix tonight, and all to your benefit, ladies and gentlemen. And we got a really, really cool Tag That Track for you tonight. You're going to love tonight because I love creating it, and I'm hoping my homeboys here loved thinking about it tonight. So full disclosure, after tonight, we're going to go home. On that drive home, I'm going to pick up some brew. We're going to go play video games because the Diablo 2 ladder has reset, and this geek is playing all night tonight with my boy and with the full load of brew right there on the side. We don't have a dog that can bring us the beer. We've got cats, and they're not strong enough yet. If a cat can pick up a Foster's oil can, then that's a pretty good cat.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, my cats are not quite there yet. So that's what's going on tonight. I'm going to have a good time tonight. We're not all going to Wang Chung tonight, but one way or the other, we're going to have fun tonight. Okay, Swainbo.
All right.
What's up, homeboy? Good to have you back.
Yeah,
good to have you back.
Yeah, thank
Wonder
you.
Twin Powers.
Yeah.
Triplets now.
Yeah.
Woo. Triplets. So what do we got for the Central Unified Teaching Association, and where are they now?
Well, we finally got it ratified with the teachers, and the board 7-0 passed it. So
let's walk back. So teachers have to confirm the contract.
Yeah, teachers have to go and vote yay or nay. 98% of the teachers said yes.
Boom.
Yeah, so 98%. And then it went to the board this last Tuesday, 7-0 approval.
Toma.
That's kind of usually a.
Because by the time it gets to the board, it's probably done.
It's just a rubber stamp.
Right.
Yeah. So I very rarely have seen it where they've said no around the country where school boards have said no, but it has happened. So we got that approved, and that's for 18-19, which was this last school year
so that
we just finished up, and then we did a 2-year, so that is now for 19-20.
Okay.
We did we took a pretty good chunk out of. We were pretty behind the times when it came to salary comparables.
Right.
Different districts, we were anywhere from some districts 3-4%, 6-7-8% behind other districts. We got a pretty big chunk out of that. We still have a long ways to go.
Where do you sit, like in the region, in terms of comparables?
We're now
Not number one. I know that. Not number one.
No. We're pretty much in the middle of the pack now.
Okay.
Which is good, middle, and we're starting to move upwards, which is good. That's going to attract new teachers. That's going to keep our teachers, especially from years.
Because you need to get retention.
Yeah, and especially from we lose a lot of teachers from years 6 to 15.
They go to neighboring school districts
because they can make more.
Right.
So we were able to.
This will address that.
Yeah, we addressed that, which is good. We addressed healthcare. We addressed class sizes as best we could. Our district doesn't have a lot of room to start lowering class sizes.
Because of our growth.
Because of our growth, because of our lack of vision that 20 years we've been talking about building a new high school and we still have not built it, running through those games.
Right.
So we at least got a committee that is primarily made of teachers and a couple administrators. Well, every year they are going to publish a report, and that it's going to really put some teeth into, okay, they suggest this and we need to start moving in that direction, making some changes, which is a good first step. Again, it didn't solve the problem, but it's a really good first step.
Well, thank you for acknowledging at least that part.
Yeah, it was a good step.
So I mean, we have teeth. I'll use your term. We have teeth in the sense that we'll now be able to retain teachers instead of them coming to us because they need a job and taking it, because we're the fastest growing district in the valley, in all of Central California, and I know that we lose teachers because the pay scale dips in comparison to other school districts, so they leave.
Yeah.
And they don't stay with us, and then what ends up happening is you don't have experience in your staff going forward.
Right. You have like the 1 to 5 year teachers, and then you have the 15 plus.
Right.
But you don't have that middle part there, because we lose a lot, and when you lose teachers, it takes a lot of time and money to retrain
it's
new people coming in.
Exactly. Okay, so you're training people, and let's call it that. They're being educated, they're being trained. And by the way, and teachers can train and educate themselves daily, just being in a classroom. And I'll say that as a former teacher myself. I mean, I learned how to be a better teacher almost, every day, every week, every month. Like, okay, wow, I'm gonna tweak this. Okay, that lesson plan didn't work. Why not?
Right.
I'm gonna remove that. Right. I need to be better about having my material prepared. I need to do this. So in essence, you get better, and the window is that. And I know this is like the first 2 to 4 years is when the biggest drop off happens, like in teaching in general.
Yeah.
Because that's when they make the decision whether they want to stay teaching or not.
Right.
Or maybe they walk into a class and they're like, holy,
I'm not
doing this.
This is not for me.
All right, this is too much. But maybe they get past that window. They get to year 4, 5, 6, and maybe they will stay, but they know that so-and-so is talking to a friend of theirs who's also a teacher, in our case in Fresno Unified, and you know that. Competitively, Fresno Unified's pay scale, salary schedule, has been better than ours, and so they leave to Fresno or they go to other school districts, and then all that time, energy, and effort that our community, not just our administrative staff and staff, has put into that person, that teacher, is all out the window because now you have to start all over.
Right.
And that's not building quality staff. That's not building a quality unit. So I'll push back a little bit. If I push you, it's always going to be out of love. You know that. But and it ain't to you personally. You know better than that. But it's just kind of like the biggest thing in our school system is that we've grown so fast, fastest growing school district in the region, in the valley, and there was not adequate planning, and that is definitely not the teachers.
No.
Teachers didn't make that decision as to how they were going to plan how to build enough facilities, because it's really simple. Good teachers and have the facilities and resources they need to be able to teach.
Agreed.
So that part was blatantly bad and not good and didn't do a good job, because we are still dealing with the after effects of them not doing a good job about planning.
Right.
So I had this discussion a little bit with my wife, your crime partner in education, the teaching association president, and I asked her, and so she kind of told me generically, because I am alumni. It is my community. I'm going to live here and die here, and so I'm asking her, like, give me the real. And I said, okay, well, what about class size reduction? I started asking her, like, what about class size reduction? What about this? And she goes, you're hard to please. I said, well, yeah, because I want, forgive me for wanting the best. Right. For the kids in my community. Right. You know entirely where I'm at with that.
Oh, yeah.
So I think that, and I'll say it, that I feel like you guys are, you're trying to fight that battle on class size with one hand behind your back and not full support ammo weaponry.
Yeah,
I don't feel that way. And so any Central Unified teacher out there, I'm entirely with you, whether you know it or not. Some of you do know. I've been in the trenches fighting for class size reduction and other things for years now. Right. Not just on air doing here, but in my community talking to people. We need smaller class size so good teachers like Swainbo can do their job more effectively and with a greater degree of getting that education out there. Yeah. So I'm going to hope you guys can, one, do your end again and go after it again this next negotiation, which is like already starting because it took so long. Yeah. But I'll lay this up on our community. I'm happy that the Teaching Association got the deal and they've got their contract and they're ready to go forward and there's no possibility of strike. I'm happy about that, but I'm going to lay this fresh on the doorstep of anybody in Central Unified's community. And listen, watch this. All over America, it's not just the teacher's fault to fight for facilities and adequate funding and resourcing and giving the kids what they need in the classroom. That's not just up to teachers. That's our fault. I really believe that. That is entirely our fault as a community and as a citizenry. If we don't advocate to have these people do their job to the best of their ability, then that's on us if the education's not great. Yeah. So I think I'm belaboring the point here, but for obvious reasons, I will continue to be a strong advocate for class size reduction. Yeah. And I will continue to not hear the excuse of, we're growing fast, this, and this, because I've listened to that for 20 years. Listen, man, you know how this works. Yeah. For 2 decades, if you've been listening to the same excuse for 2 decades, it gets a little old, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, yeah. And I may be the wrong person now because you have new people moving into our community and it's all rosy and rainbows and like, it's going to get better. Like, you know what? Yeah, everything's going to get better if you believe that. Yeah. But when you've been waiting for 20 years for it to get better, I'm sorry, don't bring your 3 years of experience, 5 years of experience in the community as a leverage for, my son's going to be good, my daughter's going to be good. Right. That's not an excuse. Here's the thing. My son's done. And he was in Central Unified System. My daughter's done. She just graduated yesterday. And I'm still going to advocate for the students in my community because, as these two gentlemen will both tell you, it has never been about mine. It has been about my community and the kids in it. And I'm going off a little bit, but I think you know the point. So in general, better contract, better retention for teachers, have a better pay scale. Yep. I think, if I'm not mistaken, she said that my wife has said that the teachers that have stayed and stuck it out for 20, 30 years, that they will be able to retire at least in a competitive way with other school districts and being rewarded for having stayed in the trenches of Central Unified. Yeah. I do dig on that. Yeah. I'll never benefit from that because I'm not a teacher in the system. But I do believe that the teachers who, and a lot of them are alumni, by the way.
Yeah, there are.
There are a lot of alumni that graduated Old Central High and that came back to teach in this community because they love the community. And it's like the old school days, right? Little House on the Prairie where the lady that lives next door to you is the school marm and she gets up every day and does a great job and she runs around the community. Everybody respects her because she's doing a valuable job. Hey, America, there you go. Valuable job teaching. Yeah. Teaching our students and educating our youth, that's a very, very important aspect of it. So I'm happy, I think just in all senses that you guys are finally done and, the contract's kind of there.
Yeah, well, we have a long ways to go and this is kind of an interesting fun fact that our neighbors to the east, Fresno Unified, they just settled their contract for the next 2 years upcoming ahead of time.
In advance.
In advance. And there were
there's a smart idea.
Yeah, there was a very smart idea.
What the hell?
Yeah, and they are already,
It's right
they are
there.
the leaders right now in our area in reducing class sizes. This last contract
Man.
that they did for a couple years ago, they reduced their class sizes tremendously in their high schools and their elementary schools, and then they started to build upon that, and they went ahead and reduced them even more in this last one. So hats off to them.
Well, how do you get better, right? Recognizing what others are doing,
Yeah.
and I don't know about you, but it's like if good things are being done around you, you can't be ashamed to say, "Hey, look, they're doing it better than us."
Mm-hmm.
With bear in mind, because I know where this goes. I mean, we have a lot of people in our community talking about, oh, Clovis Unified on the other side of town does this, this, and this,
Yeah.
and then they try to blueprint it all over here. So there's my
Yeah.
caveat, is that you can't blueprint everything. I've always said this, you can emulate their success, but you can't duplicate / Xerox copy it specifically,
Right.
because our demographics, our makeup, our economy,
Completely
our
different.
business community
Completely
is
different.
entirely different.
Yeah.
So I have no problem with wanting to achieve or emulate somebody else's success. What I do have a problem is with people that usually come from Clovis, they come over here and they try to drop down a mini Clovis. That kind of hasn't worked out well.
Yeah.
Hasn't worked out well, because what they figured out is Central's different.
And a lot of them end up leaving and going back.
Yeah, and they do, and they do. And I'm gonna say it, look, Central's different. Here's the ugly
Yeah.
part that some of you have to wrestle with, meaning out there, I'm Central. Whether they like it or not, I represent the majority of what this community is, what this district is. I wasn't the 4.0 student, I was a middle student. I did wrestling to kind of keep me involved and invested. I lost a father when I was a little boy. I didn't have a lot of support or background. Ladies and gentlemen, that's a lot of America, by the way. Most of America isn't the 4.0 student with the highly involved parents that take care of everything for the little Billy and Jane. Most of America is they have something in their life that makes it more difficult for them to achieve, and then we've got to find ways to get over those hurdles.
Right.
So, scary for you, but I'm kind of it, whether you like it or not, because I'm a good look at what that district is, and I'm not Clovis Unified. I'm not. I'm different, and that's what we need to start, making the situation applicable to. So, thank you for the update. I'm happy that we're
Yeah, I am too.
going into the summer. I can tell you what, I know teachers are a lot happier.
We're very relieved because
No strike.
because if we didn't get this agreement, it was pretty much first week of school, we were striking. That's kind of the plan was, and that's what a lot of people were talking about. And for me, if you had to do it, that's the best place to start at or to strike at. But
Correct.
I'm just glad a strike is no good.
No.
It hurts the kids, it hurts the community, it hurts everybody.
That's the hard part
yeah,
for me is like, you're right. It hurts everybody.
Everybody.
But my thing is like, and fortunately we didn't have to get there, but if you have no other option, and because it's usually one to the other, it's the district won't budge and teachers have to bite down on it.
Yeah.
And you have no choice, you're backed up against the wall.
Yeah.
You either have to accept what they give you, like here, eat it, or you finally stand up and say, this is wrong.
Yeah.
And then you have to strike, and then you guys, and I told my wife, I said, there might be a point where you guys get the bad rap in the community,
Yeah.
because who does somebody blame in education like 90% of the time? It's usually the teacher.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm going to tell you why, because the teacher is the one that's in the trenches that they see day to day. They don't know about some nebulous person that made the decision that the teachers have to deal with, right? The admin makes a decision, then the teachers and the site administrators have to implement that decision. And guess who pays the price
It's the
when it comes to it?
teachers. Oh,
The
yeah.
teacher.
Yeah, because they're the front line, and
they're the front line.
and they're the front line, and they're working with the kids, but especially they're having the direct communication with the parents. And so anytime something like that happens, it's, well, you teachers and this and this and this, and
Which-
we're just
Right,
yeah,
right. It's the
yeah.
old term, right? Out of
Yeah.
sight, out of mind.
Yeah.
Yep.
So if you're out of sight and you're never seen as the one that made the decision, you'll never get the blame.
No.
Who will get the blame? The only one that's left is the person in the room that they see every single day, or
Right.
that the kids see every day.
Yep.
And I think, I'm going to say this, watch this, I'm going to walk this one back in a good way. I think that's fundamentally weak. You can quote me on that. That is weak on the part of people who make decisions knowing that they'll never be held accountable for them.
Yep.
See, that's a leadership issue. You know, right? You know me, man. It always goes back to leadership.
Yeah.
But I have a problem with that kind of leadership that makes decisions that are flawed or fundamentally not good, and they remove themselves from the situation so they're never to blame,
Right.
knowing that the people in the trenches are going to get the blame.
Yep.
I use the trenches term because you understand me. It's a military thing.
Right.
In my world, in that world, it was the squad leader that got blamed. It was the platoon sergeant that got blamed. It was lieutenant got blamed. It wasn't the private. It wasn't the soldier in the trenches. But this is all backward for me in the private sector and definitely in education and some of our government, where the people at the base that are the base of the pyramid are the ones getting blamed for the decisions made by the people at the top.
I agree.
That's just fundamentally poor leadership.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Yeah.
that's a generic, and that's not Central Unified. That's
That's
every
all across-
education
that's all
system,
over, yeah.
and in a lot of other governmental situations. Okay, so thank you, sir.
Yep.
Thank you, sir. So we're going to get started on. So what we wanted to do tonight is wanted to talk a little bit about and use some expertise. Okay, so for those of you that don't know or haven't been with me long enough or a while, and it's not like I talk about it every night, but my son to my right, Richard Martinez, also, we're extremely creative when it comes to giving people names. Are we not? Extremely creative.
Yeah.
Richard and Richard. Richard was a student at University High School in Central California, in Fresno, California. And I'll let him talk a little bit about that in a sec and flesh it out for us. But it was, a decision that the wife and I made. He was in Central Unified the entire time. They had a very specific program. Watch this. You're going to like this. A specific program that Central, the homeschool district, does have, but is nowhere near as good. And that's not being mean, that's just a fact. Why? Because University High School has one of the best academic decathlon programs in the country. They win national titles like waking up in the morning. So it's not that for lack of effort, by the way, and you two as my guarantors and backup here, I actually went to Central Unified's administration and offered to drop down the exact same program and more than what University High School offers. University's high school, and we'll talk about this in a second, University's academic decathlon program begins and ends at the high school level. I actually talked to our administrators in my homeschool district about helping them begin and generating the program starting in the elementary grades and all three middle schools.
Yep.
And I would help fund it, raise money, put it together, coach it if I had to. But find people to build that program, because the only way you're going to beat University High School in our backyard is by building a feeder program that starts much, much lower and has all these kids deeply, deeply intellectual by the time they're out of elementary into the middle school. And I'll use this, and I hate to have to do it, but we're both athletes too. Swainbo, you too. If you understand that having a kid wrestle in 5th grade might make him a better wrestler after 4 or 5 years when he gets to high school, then you're probably going to want to start him earlier. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, hate to break it to you, but the physical, the muscular component is the same here, physically. If you want somebody to be intellectually gifted and able to handle rigorous material, difficult, intellectual, cognitively stimulating material, then you want them starting at an early age, provided obviously that it's structured in a way where my math homeboy will help me out. You got to do 1 + 1 to get to 2, and you have to do simple addition, subtraction, multiplication, etc., to move into algebra and other forms, provided you do that. So all that was done, all that was offered, and all I'm going to say is that was what?
Well, that was, I remember.
10 years?
I remember.
Oh, no.
Remember, it was back when.
Oh, my God.
Remember
it was
and I-
you.
Yeah. Remember when you came
real.
with us?
The real.
Yep. And we talked.
Whoa.
And then remember
Whoa.
we hit that roadblock with
It
the
was
district.
It was Barzini all along.
Yeah.
It's like 12,
Yeah.
13 now.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
Yeah, because we had that conversation,
Watch
and
this.
then we went to take it to the next level, and we got.
it would be you.
Yep.
That sounds like a romantic comedy.
Yeah.
It would
Yeah.
be you. That's a rom-com. Let's do a rom-com, ladies and gentlemen. But you know what? All things being equal, I mean, seriously,
Yeah. I
it
remember that.
it wasn't just you, because I was going to go to all 3 middle school
Right.
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
But I did go to you because at the time you were my wife's boss. Now it's
Yep.
the other way around or
Yeah.
something. But you were the principal at Rio Vista. She was a teacher on your campus.
Yeah, yeah.
He was in elementary school. And I said, hey, can we get this here
Right.
so we can start building?
Right.
And watch this, ladies and gentlemen. Excuse my Spanish. I don't say French, I say Spanish. Excuse my Spanish. Because I wanted to put down a program that was going to kick University's ass. And my homeboy, Sean Canfield, who's the 29-time national champion at University High School, and he is a homeboy. His really good teacher, and now I call him a family friend.
Yep.
You know what Sean would say? Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
Oh, he loves competition.
Oh,
That
yeah,
guy
yeah.
loves competition. He wants people coming after him to make him better. I gotta love nothing but respect for that. So it was you.
Yeah,
It was you all along,
Yeah,
Barzini.
yeah. We started talking about that.
You
and
gave me
then-
the thumbs up.
Yep, and I said, let's do it. I was 100%, let's go for it. And then
I went to the district office.
Went to district, and it was
never
like-
heard from me
It went
again.
thumbs up, and then it went, ooh, thumbs down. And I was
Crash
like,
and burn.
It was crash and burn.
That's going to be a theme for Top Gun 2, man.
Yeah,
That was a crash and burn.
It was a crash and burn.
It was you
Oh, yeah.
all along.
Yeah,
So here's
yeah.
the scary part. So, Swain Bo has been a family friend between my wife and I, going back to when he would have been his principal.
Yep.
Even back before that.
But I think that
Yeah,
the funny
yeah.
thing is, like, in all this hullabaloo right now, is like the point was I actually tried to do something about it.
Yes, you did.
I attempted, and I offered, and I said I would
Oh,
do
yeah.
this, I would do that. We'd raise money. I would bring coaches. I would sit with the teachers. Here's why, ladies and
I
gentlemen.
wasn't going to give you an office though because I didn't have any office space. I
I'm
know
sure
that
you-
was
I'm
one
sure
of your
you-
demands. I was like, well,
Did I demand an
nah.
office? Oh, man.
Well, I
was like,
had a closet. I had to
That
take
would've been
I had
crazy.
to take the bucket and the
give me
mop out
give
of
me
the
a
closet.
corner. Yeah, give me a corner of your room.
Yeah, yeah.
But here's the real deal, ladies and gentlemen. It's like I don't bring anything up unless I have something to offer, and I damn sure don't complain about something unless I have a better solution to it. So that one in particular, and here's why: is if you guys don't know this, but I actually coached academic decathlon. And without making too much of an issue of it, and I don't like hyperbolizing or aggrandizing, but I do like tagging this because every year I go to watch the decathlon. It's like 30 years now. I can't remember how old it is, but I still hold the record for the highest one-year gain in the history of Fresno County. That's my only claim to fame. I should have stayed longer, maybe did it longer, maybe won some titles, but I believe in showing turnaround. Taking kids that one year were at the very bottom in the entire county, and 1 year later they were on the podium. They weren't first, but they were on the podium being recognized as the highest one-year gain in the history of Fresno County. Now that is 18 years ago now, 18, 19 years ago. And I still have the record. I still have the record. Still have the record. My point being is that it's about growth and progress, but more importantly is that I know how to drop down that program. So in addition to having coached it myself, I was a parent with Richard at University High School while he was winning national titles. Now he won't say it for himself, but I will. He was the captain for 2 national championship teams, and he was an individual national champion academic decathlon. All at that school. So we did try, and that was my point. Was try. So I'm going on a lot. You even brought up that sidebar, man. I forgot about that, but you're right.
Yeah.
It was
I
you.
remember that.
It was you all along, Barzini. It was
That's
you.
right.
Crazy, huh?
Yeah.
Could you imagine if we would have been able to do that?
Oh my gosh, that would have been awesome.
I would have been
I'm
able to
sure.
keep my son in our homeschool district.
Exactly.
He probably would have won a wrestling
been a
national
Titan.
title. Well, he would. So he won a wrestling national title.
Yeah.
That would have happened anyway. We were going to win that regardless of where we were. Because, by the way, University High School has no sports program.
Right.
We did it all on our own.
Yeah.
So he won a national title in wrestling.
Yeah.
He could have done that for Central.
Oh, for sure.
And
I don't think they've
built,
had one yet, have they?
definitely not Fargo. I know that. Not even close. So anyway, the point being is it would have been nice if in my home school those things would have been done so I could have stayed and homegrown talent could have stayed. And by the way, I didn't just leave because I was hard-headed. I gave them the opportunity and I offered to raise the money and put the program together, do everything. And belabor the point, right? It never happened. I think you'll understand it wasn't on this end. I tried. And so that's kind of, when you try something, ladies and gentlemen, this is for education in general in America. When you try, when you honestly try because you care and you're rebuffed, you're not listened to, you're placated, patronized, and moved on, they listen to you. But it doesn't mean they're going to do anything you're suggesting or asking for. Now, maybe some parents right now that watch this will go back and say, well, they listen to me. Well, maybe you have something that I don't. Maybe you are something that I am not. The point being is that it should be the same for everybody. Right. Now, if I wanted to get real hard and drop it on the table right now in SuperMex Nation, because we always tell the truth here, I have a sneaking suspicion, I have a really good suspicion. I'm not wealthy, I'm not, and a lot of these guys are my friends, but I'm not one of the old farming families that has run or used to run our district, and therefore they don't think that I need to be listened to. I'm just a little homeboy that grew up in the streets with no dad. all right, and I'm the one that grew up and went out, served his country, and came back to help the community, I should be listened to as well. And not just me, but anybody like me. Yeah. Don't just listen to that small percentage, the people that are in the mix, have money, have property, have power, or that are kissing your butt and telling you everything you want to hear because they want to make sure their kids are taken care of. Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, that's the problem with education in America today, a big one, is that some people think education is about a small percentage of the population. If we got this right, we educate all of our kids well, not just a small percentage of the people that have the biggest mouths and the most influence. That's where America's going wrong in education. I know I'm not wrong about that one. That should be a book. Okay, let's get to University High School. So tell me about University High School. What do you got to say about it?
Well, for those
you better say something. It gave you a good education.
I guess it did. University High School is a public charter school started in Fresno Unified. Started like the love child of, I think, the former dean at Fresno State and another of their head departments. Basically, the school is centered around academics and music. Their main focus is that you have to have at least 2 years requirement in any field of music. You play guitar, piano, sing. You have to partake of a performing arts group while you're in the school. And then at the same time, a heavily college-oriented, focused curriculum in the math sciences.
Size, you guys are way smaller.
I think as I was we're still only about 480 students.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's across, so it's about 120 per class.
Right, and I think, Swainbo and I talked about it. I mean, that's, let's be honest, that's a luxury.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
That's nice. I think generally everybody would understand if somebody said, all high schools should be small, because I lean that way. Yeah. We do know, like with some rationale and some reality, that you can't have every single high school in America at 400 or 500.
No.
So and let's acknowledge that, before we start saying all the great things about University High School in Fresno, California, how great it is. Let's acknowledge that they have the ability to, because the situation's not the same as a regular public high school. It is a little bit different.
Absolutely.
Okay, but there is access to it. So speak to that a little second. So it's not like they go cherry pick like all these kids, right? There is a measure of randomness to who they accept.
Yeah, so you can apply from all across the valley, actually.
And all over anywhere, actually. You can apply
Yes,
from anywhere.
absolutely. And I think there is one specific school, a middle school, that does feed into them. I think it's KIPP Middle School.
KIPP Academy.
KIPP Academy. They feed directly into them, regardless of grade, music, all withheld. They go and filter.
And if I'm not mistaken, that's an inner city school in Fresno Unified.
It is.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
And then, on top of that, the only other requirement really is the 2 years in music. You actually still have to, I think you still have to write like a letter or an essay, kind of like you're applying to a college. But at the same time, they have an overwhelming amount of applicants each and every year. And so still they have a lottery that they do. So
that's the trick. That's probably where
Yeah.
people need to understand that there is some level of randomness or equity, that you can be a kid from all over the valley and you can apply to this school, and then there's a lottery.
Yeah.
There's a lottery. So if you're from a school in Madera to the north of us, Desmond, if you're a school to the south of us or anywhere else, and maybe you're not what this other kid is, but there's a level of equity there that allows you to get into the school because there's a lottery draw. They draw from a lottery. And so I'll say it. We've got, here's a crazy thing. So this last year, I have two personal family friends. We have two personal family friends. I won't use the names because I didn't even think about talking to them before, but two personal family friends and families that are our friends that both had 8th graders that wanted to get into university. One of them got in, one did not. Both of the kids are very bright, very accomplished kids, each individually. One got in, one did not, because of a lottery draw. And you know who I'm talking about now. You know which one got in and which one did not.
If they don't, let's say it's for 9th grade, can they reapply and try for 10th grade, or is it
not 10th grade?
Not 10th grade.
We take 9th graders, and there's like a re-lottery, I think, because we do lose a certain amount of students.
Sure.
I think.
There is attrition.
Yeah, I think by the time my class graduated, we were only 98. and we started with 120.
It's tough. It's hard, man.
Yeah.
It's some tough courses.
You can do it
yeah.
again coming into the 11th grade year.
Okay.
Into junior year, they'll take more students.
Gotcha. Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, so they get to reapply. And matter of fact, I said this to one of the family friend that I just spoke of, that the daughter did not get in.
Mm-hmm.
And I mentioned to him, like, okay, 2 years, you can reapply and get in.
Yeah.
And get back in. Because I'm going to say it, there will be attrition. I mean, that school starts with X amount, and they lose a number because it is a tough school.
Yeah.
It's,
Yeah.
I mean, it's intellectually rigorous, it's difficult, and let's face it, like some schools are just not for everybody.
No, that's true.
I mean, I've seen kids that wanted to go to university, they started and they ended up going back to their home school because that program wasn't what they wanted or they thought it was, or some like, well, I wanted to play sports again,
Yep.
or I wanted to do this or I wanted to do that. So a lot of different things,
Yep.
or and then heaven forbid, kids actually have any kind of social, right? What's that? You know, what's that? It's all, you know, meat and potatoes beat you over the head, but I think there's a little combination. So yes, there is a method to reapply. I don't know if you caught the number. So if you guys, you know, for you guys, it's like University High School. It's located on the campus of Fresno State, in the heart of our area, and they are routinely. Correct me if I'm wrong, Richard, but they are routinely in the top 25 to 50 of all high schools in the country.
Charter school.
Charter school.
And so I think this 2019 school year, they're 85th in the nation overall, just high schools overall. And I think
Out of tens of thousands of high schools.
yes, and I think like 16th as a charter school overall in the nation.
And that's every year. I mean, it fluctuates a little bit. It'll go up or down.
I don't think there's been a single year that they've been in action since I remember when we were back there and it was 25th.
What's the publication? Was it like U.S. News and World Report or something like that?
Yeah, or like World U.S. News, because they do the colleges and the high schools.
Right,
They rank
right.
them every year. Yeah, and so it's through that.
Right.
I think they were 16th this year, and they've been consistently top 25 charter schools, at least charter schools, least charter schools.
And that was one of the things, like, so Swainbo and I have been talking about, like curriculum. Their curriculum's much more set and rigid.
Yeah.
They don't get as many options
Yeah.
in terms of electives. And like,
Yeah.
oh, we don't get choice, right? They do get some choice. They do get to, you know, manipulate, but I think it's more toward the back end, right?
So the way it works is there's like the only real choice you have is with your math, which maths you're going to take.
Like, how's that go?
And like a slight split in the world or the history you take your junior year. You can take AP or you can take not AP. Essentially, that's about it.
There's the choice.
And then
AP or not.
And then your senior year it's government or econ. But each say if you take government, you'll still require like the first third of the whole year is still dedicated to economics, and vice versa if you take econ. But all the electives are fulfilled at the end of each semester. So for the fall semester, you'll continue to finish a whole fall semester. When you come back, our break is shorter. Central Unified is what, 4 through 6.
We're
5 weeks.
We're 4 weeks.
It's a good grip.
Yeah.
Ours is 2.
Yeah.
And then for those 2 weeks that you are still on break, we're doing our elective session. And so then students will get
And
the
daily.
choice.
And
Yeah.
daily.
For 2 weeks, you'll satisfy the elective requirement, 1 class, 3 hours a day. For 2
See, they're
weeks.
still daily. They're still daily.
So we were 3 weeks at Christmas and 2 weeks at Easter, and so you're 2 weeks at Christmas.
The 2-week spring break. That's what it is.
Yeah, and then
We don't have it. We don't, just the one.
One, and we do
and
the
then
2.
so I
got
think
you.
university finishes all classes and finals earlier in the spring break,
Yeah.
and then they're done with their electives. I think Central just graduated.
Yeah.
They were done and graduated. I want to say like 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
They're done.
And so they're doing their elective period.
No, they're already done.
They're done
That's
with
it.
that
They
too.
finished the elective period
They're
2
done
weeks
with
ago.
that too.
Wow.
And so one thing I wanted to point out is, like I was saying, that university is still every day. How many periods? Is it 6 or 7?
6 or 7. You eat 6 or 7. And the only time you really get much free choice is starting your junior year, but there's not that much. And like senior year, you could have up to you still required at least 4.
Yeah. So I think, and you can jump in and you know your opinion too, Richard. But I think you and I have talked about, like, okay, in Central's case, they have 8 periods
Yeah.
split out. You know,
Four one day, 4
Correct.
the other, then
Correct.
go back to the original 4.
and I know you and I were both on the same sheet of music. Like, if you're a math teacher,
Yeah.
you want to see your student every day.
Every day.
I'm a
Yeah,
history
every day.
teacher,
Every
and
day.
people don't know this, but they're like, well, history? I said, yes.
Every day.
I'm constantly reinforcing my base information. I'm speaking for you too this way because I know it's the same thing. People don't understand that about history. Maybe it's more so about math. And I think you understand for the obvious reasons. Most people, internalize that better. But
Right.
in my history courses, the way I taught, I was constantly, every single day, reinforcing. So by volume, they got more reinforcement on our base understandings, names, dates, people, places, key concepts to know so that we can move to theory and more difficult material. I did that on a daily basis. I know you're with me on that, that it needs to be daily.
It does.
So I do think we're missing the boat. I do remember when they went to this form of periods, what do they call it? Block system.
Blocks,
When they call it, when they went to this block.
Yeah.
I remember because they were saying, well, we have these issues. Remember, we used to have year-round schools too.
Well, I was teaching. I was still teaching when we went to
Well,
the
you
block
had
schedule.
to have been here when we went to block.
Yeah.
I was.
What was the rationale? Let me see if ours gels.
I know.
Because I know what I was told out in the community.
Well, one of them was money for textbooks. We're going to save a lot of money on textbooks. That was one of the things.
I don't understand that. Why?
Yeah, well, anyway, that was one. That wasn't the main idea, but that
how?
was,
I don't
that was
get that.
I can see maybe wear and tear. Those textbooks
yeah,
go
they
through
were.
hell.
Yeah, they were just saying that they didn't have to initially when they start up a new curriculum, they only have to buy, instead of textbooks for, let's say 400 kids, they buy them for 200 because then they're going to cycle 200 through one semester, and then that
200
same
to the next.
200 textbooks go for the other. So that was one of the things. But the main idea was that more time. We went from 45-minute periods to 90-minute periods.
Yeah.
And they were saying that the more instructional time is going to be beneficial to the students, that there's going to be more time in the classroom with the child. They're going to have, you can get more in depth with scientific experiments. You can just get more in depth with your theory.
Science is the only one that and hold your thought, and we'll go continue along that same line of that logic. Science is the only one that I can really bite down on that
For
rationale.
that.
Yeah.
I really do.
Experimentation,
Because you go do
labs.
something, right, and then you run a lab.
Yeah.
Yep.
That I understand.
Yeah.
Because you do need time to do a lab. You also need the instructional component, either right prior to it or be after the lab's done for downloading, right?
Yeah.
And for putting things together. But that does not hold water. I know in my subject, what say you?
It was tough. It was tough because, well, I tell you, I mean, just
Attention. It's attention span.
He said that.
It's attention span.
it was tough.
It was tough.
Because I went to teaching 90 minutes, and you're right, Richard.
They already say my subject's boring, by
It
the
was
way.
it was
Exactly.
attention. It was how am I going to teach?
We're actually doing the same thing in Harvard this year. This past year, we transitioned from the 60-minute window or a 55-minute window that we did, and now we're doing at least a 90-minute window.
What the hell?
Every time. I didn't tell you that?
Oh,
Yeah, so
no.
instead of a,
There's nothing sacred? The big H, I would think, would be, okay, well, college is different too. I will give them that. College
So-
is different.
And that lends
You
us
should be able to hold a better attention span than a ninth grader.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Well,
I don't know.
well,
Listen, is he telling me this?
Yeah,
He
well-
should be telling me this. He's my damn son. He can't be saying that to me. I don't want to hear that.
well, as I tell you, as a teacher,
I don't wanna hear that.
teaching in a 90-minute block, you need to have your stuff wired tight because
75 minutes, I'm sorry.
because you would have to constantly change methodologies. Okay, we're going to do some lecture, and we're going to do that for 10, 15
We're going to
minutes.
do some grooves.
And then we're going to, exactly, you're going to do all those different things. And it was pretty, and we're going to do an activity.
Listen, I can't tell you.
It was crazy.
You have to
I tell
throw
you,
those
it
in
was
there.
crazy
Listen,
teaching that.
I'm busting your heart,
Yeah,
man.
I know.
I'm busting
I know, but it was
You do
crazy.
know. Look, I don't want to be, so hard-headed, okay, but
Yep.
you know how I feel about how we're losing education in America. I'm
Yeah.
deadly serious
Yeah.
about that. And man, the rationales that I have coming from people that don't know their hind end from a hot rock. You like that? That's an old military one. You don't know your hind end from a hot rock. Coming up with all these cool, creative little innovations. And everybody's got an answer for how everything's going to change and make things better. And I'm saying there were some things we used to do real well that you're changing because you want to seem like you know more than the next guy. Okay, and I'm going to say it. Like in that case that you're bringing up, okay, so it's this, oh wait. I was like, I'm still caught on it, man. Ooh, we're going to do some groups.
Yeah, exactly. I'm telling you.
You know what? Because I was hard-headed about that.
Yeah.
My principal. Okay, after the first year, she left me alone because we got my test scores back, and she just like, whatever it is you're doing,
just do it.
Just keep doing it.
Keep doing it.
I will never question you again
Yeah,
because
yeah,
she, because I was a first-year rookie teacher, and she got complaints from other teachers that I wasn't doing enough group work.
Yeah.
So I'm bad about that, man.
Yeah,
okay.
I know.
It's just because
Yeah.
I do know not all teachers and not all classrooms and students are built the same. I
No,
get
no,
that part.
no,
Okay.
no.
And I've never said that I was not for doing some group work.
Yeah.
But when the rationale, and it triggered me because of what you just said, man, you set me off, Barzini. I'm telling you, you set me off. But it was about, and I saw, because I would go to other classrooms and I would see them in a group setting. One kid's doing all the work and the others are fooling around.
Yeah, they're all messing around.
Okay,
Yeah,
and it was a
yeah.
way and it was a mechanism to get out of having to do the damn work yourself.
Yeah.
And I'm hardline about that.
Yeah.
It's
So-
actually funny. You ask any kid, they'll know that.
I know they
Any
know.
kid that did the work, and then you even get the kids that didn't do the work. It's, oh, I love groups. I don't have to do
love
anything.
groups.
Yeah, that's why.
I love group.
So I don't do. That's why I don't do groups. Even in my college classes, groups. No. Because it lends itself to those things. But that was you had to change. You had to transition, and those were all of the methodologies that the administration. You need to do this. and you need to do this. And
I'm being bad tonight, man. But look, we're not doing the serious show tonight. You guys look at. Oh, it teaches cooperation.
yeah.
You know what I'm talking
know,
about, man.
I know.
You don't know that, right?
I
was
know, I know,
Oh, it's
exactly.
going to teach them how to cooperate effectively in a group
'cause
setting.
They tell us the
I'm
same
like,
spiel.
Come on, man.
They tell us the same things. That this is what it's going to teach you. You're going to learn how to work with different people.
Yeah,
Come on.
I know.
We know these.
I know.
Most of the time, too, you've known these people for your whole life.
Yeah.
You grow up to the same school system. You
Yeah.
know who they are.
Yeah.
You don't need to just.
Well,
you're
what
actively looking at. I don't
many-
want to be in that.
You know what many teachers did though back in the day when we went to block schedule, they would do their lecture because.
Beating up on block schedule tonight.
Yeah, I know we are.
And you
I know we
what?
went way
I'll
off
tell
the
you
rails.
what.
But
We're on rails. We're on rails. I'm on like a ride. Maybe I hope I'm not the ride that goes off the train.
Roller coaster.
So I'm on a rail. I'm like, I got my
Yeah,
rail gun.
yeah.
Okay. Let me get the fighter's voice on here because I'm gonna beat up on block schedule.
Yeah,
My homeboys from the fighter's voice. I'm gonna give them a shout out tonight. Richard and Cole on the fighter's voice. They talk about throwing chingazos and stuff, and I love their show. So, but this is what I'm talking about. We're beating up on block schedule because I don't think it has made us better, at least in Century Unified.
I don't think
Okay,
so.
your school, aside from the obvious benefits and positives that it has, that structure you guys to be good, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to say it. In the time that I taught, I'm not going to say I was a good teacher because I think I'm so great. I'm going to say I was a good teacher because my results yielded higher than everybody else's. I got a number, and they were telling me, and I'm running this back. So, the principal, I won't use her name because I haven't talked to her in a while, but she probably wouldn't have a problem if I did. But she would, the other teachers were kind of saying things about what I wasn't doing in my methodology, and that includes group instruction, more movies.
yeah.
I actually got chewed out for not having enough movies.
More
I'm
instructional
not joking.
movies.
I am not
Battles
joking.
BC, baby.
I got chewed out because I didn't do enough movies. I didn't have kids watching movies all the time because it was history. I'm not joking. This is the truth. So the first year,
Jeez.
I would get called in to the principal's office. I felt like I was back in high school, man. I'd get called in, and she wasn't bad because she did like me, and I was professional, clean, and I was a role model on that campus. She goes, you might want to, and she was being cool with it, and I'm being hard-headed. I didn't listen because I knew that I would get the result. After the first year, she brought me in after the test results were back, SAT 9 back then, if you remember, SAT 9 test scores. And I blitzed I had the highest one-year gain in the history of the school, in those particular subjects.
In
And
Euro, right?
In history, just in history,
Just
not
history.
not Euro, because Euro wasn't tested.
Oh,
It was an AP score.
Yeah.
Okay, so I got, she just basically told me, okay, disregard everything I said
here you go.
before,
Just leave it-
and I'll leave
let-
you alone.
leave you alone. Yep.
Do whatever it is you're
Yep,
doing,
yep.
and Mr. Martinez, clearly you know what you were doing, and you're not just some rookie teacher coming in. By the way, I was an instructor and trainer when I was in the Army,
Yeah.
so it's not like I came in blind.
Yeah.
But anyway, the point being is, I think you and I are both in agreement. I'm not for block scheduling.
Yeah, I'm not.
I do think it is a lesser form of instruction, and I remember the rationale. That one was ugly though that you set up. That it was going to save money on books. You save money so you can cut the kid.
So you can
Yeah,
cut the
that
kid.
was one of the
That's a hell
underlying.
no.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the main
Funny
concept
how they want to
was-
save money
Yeah.
in the classroom, but they don't want to save
Yeah.
money on all the other stuff that they waste money on.
Yeah, it was, and again, it was more instructional time for students. I get that, but then that was some of the underlying stuff.
Okay, let's debunk that. Now
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you how, and you're going to know exactly because we've had this conversation too on SuperMex's Tag That Track Cheap Date Night Fridays. We already had this discussion. The amount of time you get in instruction time is finite, and it's the exact same for every teacher in California, if not the country. I don't know what the country is, but for California, everybody gets the same amount of instruction time.
Yes.
So you get this X amount of minutes in this block, right? But the instructional minutes are split out over 8 courses.
Yeah.
As opposed to 6 courses.
6.
So this isn't rocket science, and it's not Euclidean geometry. It's not Einstein sitting down with Sir Isaac Newton, postulating. This is simple. You have 8 classes, and you're splitting out the minutes of
same
instruction
amount of time.
time over 8 courses as opposed to 6.
Right.
So what suffers the most? You know where I'm going. It's core instruction.
Yeah, your core.
Your core.
Yeah.
Your core loses minutes. So that's why I'm surprised that I wasn't like in the system and I wasn't that deeply involved back then, but that doesn't hold water for me.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
It doesn't.
The only argument that I'll say that they could they could make, and I'll recognize it as valid, but in a way, is that I've heard them say it's like, oh, well, this is how they work in college. It's like, well, this is you're not going to get the same instruction every day. Yeah. But it's still, for me, I'm in college now, and like I wish, it's like for economics, I wish I did this every day, because your mind gets taken out of that space.
Yeah.
You start working on a different project or start working on a different subject. You have to think differently. If you're not getting it every day, it's not reinforced. It's exactly what
That's
you
actually
said.
an excellent point, because here's the good point. I wonder where you get that. Your mother only, right? My worst enemies all think that my son gets everything from just his mom. Like no share, no balance, right? But here's the good point to it. The good point is that to process, intellectually, cognitively, on a daily basis, in really difficult material or just basic material for students that may not be good students, but we still need to raise their bar too.
Or it's difficult for them.
Yeah,
Something
or it's difficult for them because we can't lose that kid, America. We can't lose that kid because you know why? Those are the majority. That kid is the majority of America.
But that's what happens if you don't get it. Oh, well, he doesn't get it. We're not going to.
And then you move on.
He'll do something else.
And then you only talk about the kid that does get it.
Exactly.
And then so fast forward to where we are now, the majority of America doesn't get it. A lot of things. I'll even say politically, ladies and gentlemen, you'll be staring facts right in the face and you won't get it. You don't get it. Let's not devolve to too much political, but you understand what I'm saying. There are people in America right now that aren't getting things that are going on, and we're staring at them right in the face, but we won't acknowledge them because we don't understand.
Absolutely.
That's education, America. So I wanted to bring that up with you because I want to debunk that thought process. I'm saying, and I was a damn good history teacher, and that is no exaggeration. By every measure that people would have, I was really good at what I did. I loved what I did too, by the way, and I think you know that, and you kind of know it too. I love my subject. I think it's so undervalued that kids in America don't know their history, don't know their place in history, don't know their place in society, don't know the mechanism of how we think historically so that we don't make the same mistakes over and over again. I could go on and on. I'm an apologist for history. I definitely am. But if you look at where we are, you got to make the case that, hey, we better start getting some of this right or we're going to go down the rabbit hole in a not pleasant way. And I think we are. So I wanted to debunk that one on you, and I think you agree with me that I need to see my students daily.
Yeah, I agree.
I want to see my students daily.
Yep. Yeah,
because it reinforces.
Yeah, and that was one of what Richard had talked about was, it's more like college and stuff. That was one of the ideas of presenting. Well, students. We want our students to go to college. We want them to get them ready for college, and so they're going to have semester, fall classes and spring classes, and so that was another reason that they went to that whole
That's
schedule.
the obligatory bright idea from somebody in the assembly or somebody in Office of Education at the state or national level. And here's what it is. So they're doing this, right? And you're saying to yourself, this is what I think of when I see somebody come up and say, I've got this great idea. I think of Wile E. Coyote.
Yeah.
But hey, KP, one of these days we're going to get so good, because I've got to work. KP and I are still, he's beginning to know what I think or how I think a little bit. That's scary. But I'll say something like that, and then I'll have Wile E. Coyote with the light bulb.
Well, he he rubs his hands
You
too,
got the little
like.
graphic there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you do this, right? He's got the light bulb over his head. And here's the scary part, because again, this is apropos. So Wile E. Coyote comes up with a great idea in education. And then the anvil, the Acme hammer comes down on his head. And the idea is gone.
Yeah.
Because it was not a good idea to begin with.
Yeah,
Great idea that it ends up falling flat on its face. And I'm going to say it. I fundamentally believe that we're getting it wrong, at least in our homeschool district, and not seeing students daily.
Yeah.
I do. I think we can be all in agreement on that.
Absolutely.
So that one's curriculum too. So let's point out that University high school, they don't have as much choice in their curriculum. They don't have as many electives.
No.
It was like AP history or regular history or regular history.
Yeah.
But they have a very, so you had 4 years of music.
Yeah.
Music theory.
Music theory.
Not just an instrument, but actual, and I like to call it the history and process. I threw that in there. History, because it is part history too.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's understanding where music came from, how it's developed over multiple ages.
Right.
And so they bring you back from this period and they finish, I think, your senior year in the modern times.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
I love that.
Yeah,
I really,
yeah,
really
I
love
think
that.
that's-
And
yeah.
so I think you and I had talked about on my dream campus, our dream campus, that music, the audio art, and art, the visual art, performing art, those two would be mandatory classes.
Mandatory.
Yeah.
They would be core subjects in addition to the core that we already have,
Yeah.
which leaves you little flexibility. But here's the thing, then go to another school.
Well, yeah.
I mean, you have choice, right?
Yeah, you have
choice.
choice,
People
yeah.
want to talk about choice, but that's what I would offer. That's what I would make
Yeah.
them do.
Yeah.
Is there something that you would you be okay if I said, Swainbo, come in, be the principal at my school that I'm building? Would you be okay with that kind of curriculum?
Sure.
I mean, and maybe we talked about adding a zero. Karen Kirkpatrick, I hope you're not watching. She beat me up about the zero period.
Yeah,
Bad,
I
man.
know.
She was all over me. Let them sleep, let them sleep.
Yeah.
Zero period means get up a period before school starts earlier in the morning for a kid that wants to take something additional.
Let them have that choice on.
Wow.
Let them have choice. But I'm
I'll
gonna say,
sleep.
Karen beat me up.
Yeah.
Karen beat me
Yeah,
up
she
about
did.
that.
Yeah, she
she
did.
goes, don't give them a choice. Let them sleep. I'm like,
Yeah.
she was killing me. So would you be okay, like just generically, if I built a school, the Spartan Academy, watch this, a comprehensive meshing and mind melding of Eastern and Western thought.
That was so Star Trek-ish right there. Mind melding.
We'll put it on it.
Yeah.
But if I did that and I said, Swainbo, they have to have 4 years of their 4 core subjects, but I'm going to make it mandatory that they have an additional 4 years of those other 2.
Yeah.
The visual performing arts,
Yes.
1 class every year, and audio,
Right.
instrumentation, music, vocal, choral, etc.
Yeah.
That would be, and then we'll say we have 7 periods. Six with the core, 7 for PE and other. Because PE you don't have to take all 4 years, from what I understand now.
No, it's,
So a university does that a little bit differently too.
Well, let me hold you there and then give me that thought.
Go ahead.
Hold that one for a second
Yeah,
because
go.
we're going to walk to that. Here's my thought: is that we say 6 periods plus the 1 PE, and then you can mess with it because every kid on our campus was this. Every kid on our campus would have to participate in at least 1 sport.
Yep.
At least 1 sport.
Yeah.
Every kid. No lazy. Everybody has to go do something.
Yeah.
And we'll work out on the sports later, but every kid would have to participate. So you don't have that kid like that just shows up to PE and walks the mile
Right.
and you leave them alone because they're doing it, right?
Right.
They would have to be in a sport. Every single student would have to be in a sport so that we can maybe preclude and cheat out the PE. Because I'm going to say it, my daughter doing cross country, she's doing a hell of a lot more
Than she does in the PE
PE.
course.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You get my point. Okay, go ahead and run your thought.
As a university does, the musicianship course meets for every
Why don't you
student.
take that off?
Yeah, it's,
I know KP gives me hell because if they're not paying me, I shouldn't be promoting them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
I know, but
Take it
it's
off.
not just KP. It's not just the drink. SuperMex got Friday night juice.
There you go.
well done.
That's pretty good. Leave that one up. Leave that.
Yeah, I
We're
like
gonna
that
finish with that one
I
tonight.
like that one.
Hey, right there, KP. Leave that up. All right, go ahead. Sorry, finish your thought. Man, it is fun Friday tonight.
Yeah, it is.
I am definitely going to Wang Chung tonight.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead.
Down the dance hall days. Musicianship is every other day for each student. So you don't have to take
Every
it.
other day.
That one is not every day, but basically you alternate a musicianship in PE. So if a freshman has, say a freshman has musicianship on Tuesdays and PE on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, the sophomore is the reverse. Because our Dr. Jones, our music teacher, taught both
Dr.
freshmen.
Jones, a magnificent instructor. That dude was a beast.
He taught both freshman and sophomore musicianship.
Oh, wow.
So he would, one day he would do freshman, the other day he would sophomore. And the same for our PE teachers. We only had 2 PE teachers. And it works the same in the seniors. So one PE teacher for sophomore freshman, and another PE teacher for junior, senior.
Okay.
Okay, so
And then it worked out.
That's the thing. So I mean, I do know there are ways to finagle,
Yeah.
and that not a bad way. I mean, I would make it to and again the dream world, right, where everybody actually has to do PE, where you actually have to be responsible for being in decent shape.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say, America, that is on us too. By the way, that's on us. That's our fault. Can't just blame a teacher, but I will blame a teacher that makes it okay to just go do
Just
your
do
mile.
it. Yeah.
Go
Okay,
walk it.
I will say that, and I've been around, and I have a lot of friends that are teachers, and they're like probably cringing, Richard, leave me alone, SuperMex, hey, not too loud. But I will say it, because even if you're my friend, you should know better, by the way. You know that. If you're my friend, hell, you know that too.
Yeah.
If you're my friend and you're doing that, then you should know, I'll call you out too. Yeah. You do know that. So anyway, but if we do it that way and everybody is responsible for that, then you could actually do it to where you say every kid that comes to this school has to participate in at least one sport.
Yep.
One sport of season.
Yep.
And then that will allow us to maybe cut some of the excess, I don't say excess, but cut some of the PE time
Count for some of the PE minutes.
that in a regular high school is bogus anyway.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And maybe we count that sport. Like 2 hours of cross country is a hell of a lot harder than a PE class.
Yeah.
And maybe or
2 hours of wrestling, a hell of a lot harder than a PE class, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
So that's and maybe I'm wrong. I know you're administrative. You kind of get it on me. But if I have you understand, and this is for America, the rationale. 2 hours of wrestling, harder than taking a PE class. 2 hours of cross country, harder than taking a PE class. 2 hours of swim, harder than taking a PE. By the way, that's all your sisters. Those are all my daughters. She does all of those. Yeah. That is way harder. There was a time when I said to myself, why should she even have to take PE?
Yeah.
She does way more in requirement because she was year-round sport.
Right.
She did 12 seasons of varsity sport. Still didn't get any love and attention from her school district. She's the only female athlete that has ever done that, by the way.
Wow.
Ever.
Wow.
And people wouldn't even know that because the district didn't even know what she was doing.
Yeah.
Well, it's called being ahead of the curve. Yeah. So anyway, if I'm wrong there, you tell me on the, I really do believe that there are students that are doing way more than the minimum obligation.
Yeah.
So I think it should be okay to use those minutes in lieu, L-I-E-U, in lieu of the PE time.
Well, they have that set up where if, let's say,
so we'd be able to do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
There's
again,
like a wrestling
within
PE.
like for example, I'm a baseball player and I'm in baseball PE, and we start doing our practices and stuff earlier. But there's also some guidelines where we need to do the physical fitness testing, and we need to hit some of those standards that the state of California requires for physical education classes. But those are no-brainer things that can be done. So yeah, I'm all for that, definitely.
That would be, because in a perfect world, that is, maybe when he and I are rich later, we'll just drop the high school down. And if you're still around,
It's still part of the plan.
I'm
charter
serious.
school.
I'm deadly serious that I would do that with the high school. We'll finish up and wrap up with our high school component
Yeah.
next week or the week after, or maybe. We're still going.
Yeah.
It's
Next
ongoing
month,
series.
It's ongoing.
It's ongoing series.
Ongoing.
Because you know what? It's not like it ever stops, right?
No,
it's
it
just like
doesn't.
it never ends.
You wouldn't technically be done until it's all written down and planned out.
And by the way, and so that's what you have on the show with us. We've been talking about that.
Yeah.
All of the shows that he and I have done are blueprint / manuscript for putting together something that we put into action, if not education.
Right.
Where we make it available maybe on the SuperMex Nation page, and you guys can go and look at it and say, okay, that's cool, that's a good idea. Why don't I have this in my high school?
Yeah.
Or why don't we do this in my high school?
That's why we
Yes.
do what we do. Yeah.
And that's pretty good. That's why we do what we do. That's why we do what we do.
It ain't for the money, it ain't for the glory.
It ain't for the money, or for the glory.
Ain't for
That's
the
good.
money.
Huh?
It ain't for the free whiskey.
So here's the free whiskey too. Talking about whiskey. Oh, we're gonna get to some whiskey in a second. So you derailed my train of thought, but we're gonna put it together in a plan, and we're gonna put it together in a manifesto blueprint, and we're gonna make that available on our page, for you guys to get a look at, so you can see what an ideal is, what a good education is, in concept. So, all right, so we got to get to tag that track.
Yeah.
It's been a good night, gentlemen, already.
yes,
I think
yes.
I've laughed more with my homeboy, Wild E.
Coyote.
El Coyote. El Coyote. For all my homeboys from Madera, there you go. There's a coyote for you. Somebody asked me the
That's
other
a brown
day-
coyote.
Even close enough. Close
They got a
enough.
white coyote.
a buddy of mine asked me, I thought you were from Madera. He thought I was from Madeira. No
Might
joke.
as- might as
no
well
joke.
be. Why
He thought I
not?
was from Madeira. And he goes, why did I think you're from Madeira? He goes, well, because I used to coach there.
Right, yeah.
I coached actually on 2 separate occasions. A middle school twice, and then Madera South High
You
School.
actually coach against us when I was at
I
Rio.
did.
Yeah.
I did. I did.
remember
So,
Oh yeah, that
I
was,
will tell you
that was my
this.
eighth grade
I
year.
will tell you this, and I'll put this on record. You know what? If my district had treated me well a long time ago and seen what I was capable of doing when I was young, I would have stayed in my district.
Oh yeah.
Would love
But
to.
I was, I'll never forget this. The administrator that looked me in the eye when I was the coach at LCAP, and we won for the first time ever in the history of our school district, and we were competitive. We were top 4 in the Valley for the first time ever. We had 3 state champions and 5 state placers in 1 year. That had never happened ever in Central Unified for the middle school.
Right.
I met with the high school principal, and the dude quite literally laughed me out of the office. This is what he told me. I wasn't from Clovis, the insinuation being that I couldn't be that good anyway. I wasn't from Clovis, and that I didn't have a teaching credential because I was in college at the time.
Yeah.
I had just gotten out of the Army. I had to go to college, get a degree. And he kind of laughed me out of the office, and I felt, I was a young guy.
Yeah.
I mean, it kind of bruised me. I'm like,
Yeah.
damn, I'm willing to give my life to this thing, kind of like when I was in service. I'll give my life to this. And the guy kind of just like, let me know I wasn't from Clovis, so I couldn't be that good. And the first thing that ratcheted up in my head is like, I didn't say it, I didn't articulate it, but I was like, I was United States Army Infantry Soldier of the Year, 1990, 1st Infantry Division, 7th Corps runner-up. I started listing all these things in my head that I did that no one else had done, that left me above and beyond. And I just immediately said to myself, this guy there's no relevance for him. It didn't matter what I did.
Yeah.
I can be the greatest thing on the planet, but in his mind, if I wasn't a wrestler from Clovis, then I couldn't be that good.
Right.
That's how a lot of people still
And
think.
that was a fallacy on his part. And he made a very, short-sighted, if not stupid mistake, because I was here and I would have given my life to just our component. So anyway, I digress. Okay, so here we go. We've got to tag that track. And so we're doing it this way now. So I'm just going to tell you guys up front, this was the rationale and the thought as we put these together. So I called up, last night, full disclosure, me and the Buck, the homeboy here, the third version, after, we're playing games. What were you playing?
Doing what we do. Assassin's Creed, I think.
You're playing Assassin's Creed. I was playing Diablo because that's what I do. That's why we do what we do. I was playing Diablo 2. Don't play 3. Diablo 2. Don't play 3. That's him. And had a few Foster's oil cans and just chilling, talking. And it started with, let's get the Genesis down. I could do that too. Genesis, right? Philly Collins. Hey, because he plays sax.
Yeah.
He plays sax. So we started playing music, and I don't know how I got to it. I was fiddling with something online. Next thing you know, saxophone, and another kernel for you. My dad loved the sax. When I was a little boy, he wanted me to play the sax. That was his favorite instrument. And my mom got me started on the clarinet because they didn't have sax in school and I was going to work up.
So
anyway,
you made me play the sax.
I made him play the sax. So full disclosure, I love saxophone, I love blues, and I love jazz. If you guys don't know that already, part of my musical component. So we started listening to music with saxophone, and it ended up being,
Just say it.
it's real good. So it ended up being, because I'm saying it. So it ended up being White Boys with Soul.
Yep.
White Boys with Soul. And it was like mandatory that you had a saxophone, you had some good sister girls in the back on backing vocals, and they had a deep grounding in blues, soul, jazz.
Yep.
All right? And what's the deal? It makes it different because it's a white person, not a black person. I mean, let's put it on the table. There's no politically correct here. It's just simple. Okay? And that is unique. It's a little different. But we were just having the discussion right before we started the show, and it was about that comes, the real genesis of it is out of the 50s into the 60s.
Yep.
And tunes like Robert Plant, or bands like Robert Plant, Led Zeppelin, Rolling Stones with Mick Jagger. I mean, if you guys don't know that soul, deep, just because they're not black doesn't mean there's no soul. There's a deep soul. So all of those bands that came out of the rock bands specifically that came out of the 60s into the 70s were deep with this. And then it morphed a little bit and it got into the 70s. You got arena rock, you got other forms. And then it ends up being these others that we're going to play some tonight. And it's a little bit different in group. Most of them are in that that 70s into the 80s period, because that's what we were listening to last night. And so I was like, you know what, that's tag that track for tomorrow.
Yeah.
And so I took 3 from Swainbo, 3 for Wicas Martinez, my crime partner right here, and I think I added 3 and then plus 1 more at the very end that we all talked about here at the last minute. So here we go. Let me see, so you guys can get these. I'm still having issues with my
You want me to do mine? I got mine ready.
well, you won't be able to. Well, yeah, you okay? You have
Because I'm
yours.
just going to put it
No,
on
hey,
the
look,
mic right
I got the speaker though.
Well, same.
Da, 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 I forgot. Normally, I remembered to
I give
get
you
the
mine.
speaker. You do know I'm hard headed about that, right? This damn speaker. It's like a mission now. It's like a mission not to forget it on Fridays. I mean, it's like a thing for me now.
I got it.
Yeah, but it won't be on here.
I can get on there.
Yeah, so watch. Here we go. Ready? You ready, SuperMex Nation? That's good music, man.
Yeah.
Like the coyote.
Yeah.
I like it.
Baby, I am a man on scene. I can give you what you want, but you got to come home
All right.
to me.
Remember, it's 30 seconds.
Yeah, I
So I've
remember
got
that.
busted before on that.
Yeah.
Okay,
All
so
right.
that's one.
Yep.
Let's get to the next one. Pull them up a little quicker.
What
That
is it?
should be easy.
Is it mine?
Yeah, these are yours. And here we go. All right, ready?
Yep. Now you know you can arrow back as it's playing.
Yeah, you can start searching as it's playing. That's what I was thinking too.
Don't ask me what you know is true.
Don't let it go past 30
Don't
though.
have to tell you
All right, that's enough for you.
Yep.
I love you.
No soup for you.
Precious.
There we go.
That's good juju right there,
Yeah.
man. That is good juju.
Yeah.
Used to spend my nights out in the ballroom.
Yeah.
That's a tease.
We need to go find some old juke joint tonight so I can listen to something like, seriously.
Yeah.
No.
We need some old juke joint, man. We ain't got nothing like that in Fresno.
we
That's what we
don't.
need. Maybe we need to open a joint.
Yeah. Little juke.
3 amigos.
Yep.
And we'll have Wile E. Coyote on the background doing this
With the sombrero.
with KP on production.
Yeah, there you go.
Laughing at us the whole time.
Yeah,
These guys
he
are
would
crazy.
be. Yeah.
I'm making these guys laugh while I'm doing this stuff. All right. What was next? Oh. I did go back, and here's the problem. If you go back, I have to make sure I have enough time to stop it.
You just stop it down at the
All right, so
bottom.
these are Swainbo's. 3. And normally Swainbo and I have to coordinate before, because sometimes we might pick the same one. But this time he was definitely not.
Yeah.
We definitely went in a different direction. That's cool.
Yeah, we did.
That was good.
Yeah.
All right, so
Oh, yeah. Right here.
there we go. And that was a good call, by the way. I wasn't thinking about that, but it was damn good. 'Cause this boy got a voice. Here you go.
You are so beautiful. To me.
Yeah, it always gets me.
Yeah.
That's dirty.
I'm always early
That's
in measuring.
dirty.
Yeah.
Listen, that's dirty. Listen, I'm gonna be with the boy on this one. You trying to undercut us? He's trying. Hey, you weren't trying to undercut. You were upstaging us. We're playing that kind of song, man. We're playing that song like on a cheap date night on a Friday night.
Yeah.
Swainbo's definitely swinging for the lady points tonight.
Yeah.
And by the way, good job.
Yeah.
That was a good job.
Yeah.
That was a good job.
Yeah.
Hey, SuperMex, my ego is so massive that I am entirely okay with acknowledging some good moves.
Yeah.
That was a good move.
Yeah.
I'm sitting there like, Dang, that's a good
Yeah,
song,
he's-
man.
Boy.
That's you know the old line. That's underwear dropping type music right there. Yes, that's some good stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, here's Swainbo's second. There you go. There you go.
Yep.
Oh yeah. Dirty.
Go strong or don't go at all.
That was good. That was good. Give it where it is due.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next one was, and this one I didn't see coming, but that was a good one too.
Yeah.
There you go.
Not a household
All right,
name.
here it comes. No, he's not, but good
Yeah.
call. Good
Yeah.
call on your part. Gonna need to get a drink and a joint.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Hold on a second. Okay, I meant,
Okay.
I meant,
Hey, we're in California. It's legal. We're good.
what you doing back there?
We're
What the
good.
hell's that?
We're good.
All right, so I meant get a
He
drink
said it.
at
Add a
a
joint.
joint, but not like,
Add a
all
joint.
right, not a drink and a joint.
joint.
I mean, get a drink at
Yeah.
hanging out at a juke joint.
Yeah.
Don't kill me, SuperMex Nation. I mean, come on
But
now.
remember, we're in California. It's legal here. So
I did say I don't drink and I don't smoke.
Yeah, me
Right? No,
neither.
I don't
Yeah.
smoke and don't do drugs.
No, none of
You
that.
can put me on the spot. All right, so let's finish that one.
Finish
I'm sorry.
that one.
That one I had to.
That's okay.
And KP's killing me on the visual. Look at
Yeah.
He's got the female Wile E. Coyote
Yeah.
right before she gets busted.
Yeah.
All right,
There you go.
let's finish that.
I guess you wonder
Yeah.
where I've been.
Yeah.
I searched to find a love within. I came back to let you know. Got a thing for you, and I can't let go. My friends wonder.
All right, just for that little slime by itself, like, ooh,
Yeah.
man, came back to let you know. That was a great line, great song.
Yeah.
I gotta say, we don't do like who got the best group, but I think you might be on top for that. That is a damn good
Yeah.
eclectic group.
Yeah.
And definitely White Boys with Soul. That's deep. Me like want to be like Barry White. How are you doing? Like get into the Barry White sound of it all. All right. So now, okay, that's 3 and 3, and these are some of the ones that I was playing last night with me and the Holmes here. And it was some good music. I'm gonna play this tomorrow night. All right, where are you? UBs? Here you go.
Yeah.
Good old Malcolm.
All right, great tune,
Yeah.
great tune. I mean, I think I went a little more mainstream. That was probably kind of it. But that's what I was listening to, what we were listening to last night. And that dude,
Yeah.
just that voice, man. I mean, that cuts deep. And whatever the hell it is. I mean, so distinct too, when it comes out. So this one I had some fun with for you guys. I had a lot of fun with this one. And I listened to like their whole album last night, their greatest hits. And it's like, oh man. 'Cause I remember growing up in that time period. It was just like really cool.
Yeah.
But these guys had, I mean, deep roots, deep soul. And there it is right here. Identifiable.
Are you even gonna get to it? Sax.
I don't know.
Ah, there it is.
got to cut because we'll get over. But
Yeah.
and then that opening line, I'm like, I don't know. And by the way, they had so many great songs, like hard
Oh,
to
yeah.
pick.
It was
But I
hard
wanted
to-
that one because the other part to it was a lot of saxophone.
Sax.
We were listening to saxophone and white guys, white bands that did really good soul music with sax. And that's almost, and the reason why I'm talking about it is because it's almost like a lost art now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You find it like in subgenre or niche or like clubs, but they're not getting mainstream
Or like
because
funk and exclusively funk.
it's not mainstream music anymore, and I think that's lost because the sax is the gorgeous instrument.
Oh, yeah.
It really is,
Yeah.
man. I mean, you got. Like I said, I grew up wanting to be able to do what some of those guys do with the saxophone. It's absolutely incredible. Okay, here's the other. This one kind of like this one you know immediately, but you don't know a lot of the other music they did, and it was great music. No, wait a minute.
That's not
No,
it.
I don't want that. No, I don't want that version. That's like a club version, or excuse me, there we go. That's the one. Isn't that cool? Or is it like-
Yeah. The voice.
Yeah. And then the
Yeah.
all right, I listen to the song all night.
Yeah.
That's good stuff, man. How about this, KP? What movie was that out of, KP? There was a movie to it.
Yes, it's Patrick Swayze one?
Nope.
No.
Nope.
It's
I'm throwing you for a curve, but it was like it wasn't like major box office, but it was a damn good movie. Hey, a young Tom Berenger.
yes.
If you remember, a young Tom Berenger.
What is the bully one?
No, it's a young Tom Berenger and a Michael Pare.
Yeah.
And he should have been a way bigger star, but he was like good looking dude. I don't know why he didn't become a bigger star. He was pretty cool. He was just really cool. But I won't tell you because I don't want to put it on there. But it was a great movie. So I think from now on, KP, that's what I'm going to do. I was like, you got to be my expert on all things production and film. So I got to hit you because you do.
It's in my head. I can't just remember the movie.
You'll get to it. You'll get to it.
Yeah.
Okay, so the last one, and here's the deal. So we had 3, 3, and 3 for Swainbo, Weekos, and myself. And there was 9. And Swainbo said, like, we started talking about 60s into 70s, and these
give
white
anything
guys
away.
and these bands.
Don't give anything away.
I'm going to give a little bit away, but they had these bands that were just so damn good and so deep in soul, their roots. You couldn't be good unless you had that fundamental sound
Yeah.
and the virtuosity of that genre down.
Yeah.
And so, one simple. I mean, they ended up having commercial success, but the voice, your suggestion, and then there's so many good songs. Like, where do you go wrong? But he brought up a really damn good song.
Yeah. Yeah.
That if it were not rock on a rock album,
You'd be almost
you
exclusively.
could easily
Blues.
pick this up in some backwoods juke joint in
Yep.
Louisiana.
Yep, for
and
sure.
and that's when you know you've got good music that cuts across subgenre and all genre and is just damn good. So here you go. I'm gonna pull it up. I should have just typed it because it's like it ain't gonna show up as one of the first.
No. It's
No.
Okay, I got it.
You looked it up? Did you look it up?
No, it's with the car. It's with the, I know it is. I looked it up. But it took me a while, but I could see the scene in my head, that's why.
I'm making you work overtime.
I knew it was a film.
Why is this not coming up?
Great film.
Might not be on yours.
It should be.
Might not be.
It's taking too long. Yeah, it's coming up as all kinds of other.
All right, let me connect.
You have it?
Yeah. Just turn off your Bluetooth.
Man. Oh, wait a minute. There it is. I dig it.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. There we go.
I can't quit you, babe.
Easy.
So I'm gonna put you down for a while. I said I can't quit you, babe. I guess I got to put you down for a while.
We're gonna have to do that one in studio. Maybe that one too. We're gonna have to. So what we're gonna do is we're wrapping up now. What we're gonna do is like on the Fridays, starting next week, at the back end of every SuperMex show, we're gonna do Tag That Track, and we got to tighten it up because I'm always cutting my time on KP, taking advantage of him too much. But we're gonna add a music component to the back end on our Fridays, so you get live entertainment. So the Holmes, if you don't know, if I haven't said it, has a phenomenal singing voice. We put a lot of money into, by the way. A lifetime of money and work into the singing voice. And
Not that much money.
that much, you can travel all over the damn universe to get you to sing, send you to the school so you can learn about music. There you go. Well, actually, take that back. If you don't count car rides, then it's probably not that much.
Okay, that's
But if you talk about driving to Idaho and Utah and the universe, it was a lot of gas money in the car listening to music.
That's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money. So starting next week, we will begin the music component at the back end of the show, and we'll sign off, kind of like, an a la like a Tonight Show or something like that, a variety show on television, a late night show, and we're going to play some music for you. Some live stuff and the stuff that we like here, so you guys get a little bit of look at what makes me tick on the music note, on the music end. But we're going to play live music for you, a song or two or maybe more depending on how we construct the time. But constantly, as we go forward from now into the summer, we're going to be adding things, doing more, and giving you more for your bang for your buck on the SuperMex Network, SuperMex International Network, and SuperMex Nation, the show. There's going to be just so much there for you that there's no way you cannot find something other than the political, other than the, the education.
Educational.
There's a big world out there, ladies and gentlemen, and I believe entirely, you guys know how I am about that, you got to live life to make good decisions. I really, really believe that. So we're going to begin that starting next week. We'll be back, I think. You good for next week?
Yeah.
Okay. I was going to say he's going on vacation or something.
No. Week after, no, but yeah.
Okay,
next week, yeah, I'm
so
good.
I think we'll all be good. You won't quite be gone yet.
The day after, yeah.
Won't go back to school until, so we should all be in ready to go by next Friday and have a really, really incredible show because we're going to add a live music component to the show. Constantly upscaling on SuperMex Nation. Got nothing but love for you. Thank you for being here. Share out. I don't do this a lot and I need to do more. Share out, like it, push it, because we're doing things that are quite unique to us and a little bit different than the angry back and forth on other shows that are political. We're a little bit of everything in between and all that to boot. Plenty. So SuperMex, nothing but love for you. Be safe. Go out. Enjoy your weekend. Take care of yourself. Be mindful of others. As I've said a million times, you're not the only one that exists on this planet or in this current multiverse. There's a lot of people out there. Be mindful of them as well. Nothing but love for you. Thank you, Swainbo.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Wicas Martinez. We are out.